All right, what we're going to do today is for the master the mesh activity, you're going to create a new file. You'll go to File, New, and it should be a web default screen. It could be any size you want as long as it just fits it 100% right on your screen. I'm not really worried otherwise. We just need a nice blank canvas. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to the internet, and I've brought it into Illustrator already, but what I'm looking for is historical figures. So I can use Bing or Google or whatever you like. And you're going to find a bunch of pictures of all sorts of old people. And I'd like to keep it something positive, so maybe not a megalomaniac villain from the past, but maybe like an Albert Einstein or even a weird Elvis Presley or Abraham Lincoln. Someone that has facial hair, maybe it could be a boy or girl, doesn't matter. It's Gandhi. We're going to go with this weird guy here. I think it's Abner Appleby or Aberby, but you could pick JFK if you like, or any of these historical figures. It could be president. We're going to go with this guy that I found on the internet, and we're going to place him right in our document. You can just copy and paste that from the internet, and we're going to highlight it. And of course, as we've done many a time, we're going to image trace. And I think on this image, when it's got a nice black and white image like that, either low fidelity or just a default should look good. Let's wait for that. And okay, it actually has a little too much detail for what we want, but we can work with that. All right. And what we're going to do is once we expand after our image trace, we're going to delete all the area we don't want in the background. So all we really want is just the bust or the face or the head of our historical figure. And I'm going to delete everything else by using direct selection and kind of coming in like that. And I'm going to make it nice and clean like that, get rid of all that extra stuff, and be left with just that. And that's nice for our image. If you want, you can enlarge it to fit your canvas larger, but you don't have to. I'll make it that size, and I'll bring it right down the bottom there. You could also align to bottom if you want, and then line center. There we go. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to select areas that are, well, maybe nice and solid like this, where we can then take an image. We'll use direct selection, the white arrow, and we'll use that infamous mesh tool that we've used once or twice before. We'll click once on an area and it creates a mesh, and that little crosshair there will allow me in turn to select a color, any color I want, but it's a mesh color, so it's actually meshing with anything we create. So if we move it around with direct selection, we can manipulate how that mesh actually works. And what you're going to do is you're going to select multiple, staying on the mesh tool, just like that. And you can do more than one mesh per solid area. So if you click in the same area and do another mesh, you can do that. And yes, of course, I would like you to include multiple colors like I did just there. So if I come back to this purple, for example, I have my first mesh there. I could go back to the mesh tool and create a second mesh in there with a green or whatever. And yes, of course, the colors will mix like you see there. What you're going to do is you're going to make that mesh all around your image, everywhere, on his face, everywhere you can imagine. So an interesting way to do it might be to start with one color, like if you want your base to be a green like I'm doing, that's great. But then you would come back with the mesh on another color, say a blue, and then you can add to that as I'm doing. So you don't have to keep selecting and direct selection. Once you start the mesh, you can continue it by just clicking like that. All right, so it's not a whole lot of extra clicking. And you want to be specific on how you make these color selections and how they mesh and how they merge and mix color, like that blue, like that yellow and green, kind of interesting combination there. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to go too much further, but you want to have all color in here. You don't want to have any black and white like I have. So I might pick over there and recolor it, over there and recolor it. And you can see how very quickly I can actually add color everywhere around. So you're not just going to do a little bit on his face like I did and say I'm done and turn it in. That's not going to get you the grade you want. Everything's got to be colored in. So be careful about what image you use with historical figure, and be careful about what image trace option you get. I need to see a lot of detail like I see in here with his face, but don't make it too complicated where it's going to take you hours and hours. This idea is to see how you can master the mesh tool. And then of course, when you're done, you will take a screenshot. Just do a screenshot of this being at full screen just like that. That would look great. You can title it if you want, it's not required. And extra credit if you really go all out, give me a nice background. Like if you do something like, let's see if I make a nice gradient background there. Where's my gradient tool? Let's zoom out. And if I create a gradient element, I like a radial gradient. And I'm going to make it go from white to, what color do I want? I'm going to pick an RGB in here, maybe like a pink color. And then of course I need to then, whoops. Of course I need to, why is it not doing the gradient that I want? I need to make sure my gradient is coming in the right way. Oh, it's making a weird effect, isn't it? Well, we'll play with that later, but you can then send it to back, and then there you have it. If you don't like that pink, of course, you could change that easily to whatever you want. All right, it could be blue, purple, whatever. And then again, you'll zoom out like that, make it nice and large, take a screenshot, and you're good to go. So that is Master the Mesh. Good luck and have fun.